everyone to Otaku, our weekly show where Otaku talk about otaku topics. And I am very happy to have with me Adam Sheehan from Funimation. Welcome.
How's it going, guys?
Very glad to have you here. I guess we can get started with what exactly you do at Funimation, because I think there may be one or two people who haven't been to a con and seen you there.
Of course, yeah. Well, I'm the marketing manager for Funimation Entertainment. Mm-hmm. Also, currently looking over conventions and events. I've done that for them for many years, and I'm kind of back on that for the time being, which I've always loved, so it's a wonderful thing. But my primary job is marketing manager for the new Funimationcom. We actually just relaunched the site. Mm-hmm. It's in beta right now, not for too much longer, though, so stay tuned for the big switch, as we're calling it, in the near future. But so overall, I do a whole bunch of different marketing for events, for online, and basically go out there and talk to the people, which I've been doing for as long as I can remember. About anime and everything else I've liked, so it seemed to be the right gig for me.
That's great. Back in the old days when the only thing Funimation did was Dragon Ball Z, it seemed.
Oh my goodness! I remember when I came on Funimation, it was about 6+ years ago, and we had just signed Kodacha and Tenchi Muyo Ryoki. So we had like 7 to 10 shows at the time. So it was many moons ago.
Man, how times... So speaking of which, you've been around for quite a while, and obviously an anime fan as well. Mm-hmm. How have you seen things change? I mean, it's been a big change, especially in the industry.
Oh, yeah, it's been a huge amount of change. It's been very interesting, very entertaining to watch from this side and watch the fans' reactions to things, as well as how they grow and change. Yeah. Watch some fans come new into it from different points. Because when I got into anime, I was like watching on TV, Robotech, Astro Boy, all that kind of wonderful stuff, Ultron, all that kind of things like that, and then got more hardcore into it with the VHS tapes and laser discs. So now I see fans coming into it with streaming on like Hulu or our site, or their the idea of an anime club. It's kind of new to them. They're like, why don't you just go home and watch on your computer with your friends? It's like, well, that didn't exist then. So it's been entertaining watching it from the grow and change from the industry side. It's been interesting, of course. As of late with the economy, things have really gone up and down and down and up and up and down and other directions as well. And with all that, there's been some tough times. There's been some good times, and things have been moving around in different directions. But overall, I got to say the things are getting a lot better, and there's a lot of new growth out there. And it's not just for anime. The overall entertainment industry. We're definitely not. We're getting hit with the same stuff Warner Brothers is, and Paramount and Disney, so they just have more money to spend on more things. But overall, we're all affected by the exact same thing. Yeah. And but the good thing about anime being not the size of a Disney or not the size of industry of the mass market, it bounces back and can take better hits and grow back faster than these markets. And the good part is also specifically for anime, which is unlike most other markets out there, fans are almost double more tech savvy, are more adapted to change. They're more into new ideas and trying new things. And it's more early adopters, more alpha consumers, as we like to call them, out there. So when we try new things, we get feedback really quick.
I'm sure you do.
Oh, and in drones of emails. And we love all of them. As well as, when we see stuff change, we can get, on top of that feedback, we can grow and change things faster and see stuff progress more. Yeah. So we see our industry, actually, we've hit the bottom like half a year ago, and it's slowly coming back out with new companies coming involved, with us be able to do our profits up to the point where we can do premium items again, and some of the wonderful things we hated to lose for a little while there. We always knew we were going to bring it back, but have to see it finally back. Yeah. That we're ahead of most other industries and most other studios right now, because our industry of the size it is, we bounce back first. So if anything, Warner should be thanking the anime industry that we're actually picking up, so it's a sign for them to come next.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, the only folks who ever watched Dragon Ball Evolution were the anime fans.
Oh, absolutely. It's lined up for him. I know I was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, you touched on one of that interesting topics is how fandom has changed. I mean, I think the fans themselves are certainly a different lot. It's odd. I got back into it back in the the late '90s really heavily, and back then it was really a hardcore thing. The only place you could find anime was one rack at Sam Goody, which had
or your local Suncoast if you had a local Suncoast, or that weird anime store down the street but no one knew about.
Exactly, yes. And that local anime store had Rojin Z, Akira, and like
Shutsman, Dub, and the Robotech Blue collection of VHS tapes that took up your entire living room.
For a mere, $399 or whatever.
Yeah, for the first half.
Right, exactly.
Just for Macross.
Yeah, interesting time, and it's one of the frustrating things I think for a lot of fans these days is I think for us older fans we see these darn kids who come in and you look at the streaming services and there are hundreds of anime that you can watch streaming online. Legally. Yeah. Yes,
absolutely. It's wonderful legal time here. Mm-hmm. We have our own YouTube channel, Hulu, and Funimation.com. So yeah,
absolutely. And it's tremendous seeing what's out there. And how have you seen like fans themselves change in terms of like their tastes and preferences? Have you seen that shift a lot?
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny how they shift as. It's not even like, see it every 6 months or every year. There's no real time shift as much as when the market itself changes and things overlap. Kind of like, every decade there's always kind of like, 1980 kind of looked like in the 70s still. Mm-hmm. And like the 2000 was still very 90s. Mm-hmm. You see this overlap of like one market coming in and another one, I wouldn't say ducking out, but changing and evolving. Mm. And it's very much the same thing with anime. I still see a lot of anime fans out there. As you were saying, there's a lot of 15-year-old girls screaming "I love Italia," which we're cool with.
Yeah,
but at the same time, they might be very vocal. But the hardcore anime fans, the older 18 to 34 demo, the 24 to 34 demo especially, are still around. They're just not as vocal on what they did because it's kind of like they had their time when they were at that age, teenage 20s, when they're just discovering that wonderful point of discovery of anime that you get right into it. You're like, this is a whole brand new world. And then you find, what subs are, what dubs are, what conventions are. But there's more than just you and your 5 friends that know about it. It's a wonderful moment. So fandom has changed, but it's still like I still see kids come up and they act the exact same way they did 93, 96, I'm sure back in the 80s and 70s as well, over a different show. Mm-hmm. And when they're talking about a show they watched on Hulu, as we talked about a show that we just picked up when we all saved up our money for a Laserdisc of Slayers or something. So it's really awesome. And one of the things that always reminds me of how much I love to work in this industry is that you have all this new blood who's not seen all this wonderful anime out there before, but they have a whole back catalog and a half and greater access to it now than we ever had.
True.
So with all that out there, basically the fandom is just it's changing as in they have more access to it. It's more acceptable to be an anime fan, not just that weird geek that's in the corner that's part of the AV club.
Yeah.
So it's more socially easily to find more people about it. So I think overall the biggest change is not as much the types of people you see or you hear about. It's the way they communicate and how easy it is to find other fans and kind of attach yourself to shows, friends, events quicker than we've ever had before. Yeah. So it's if anything, it's growing the range of anime via the fans. And I will say I see a lot of fans who kind of got out when anime was either moe all the time, or they just were they kind of aged out of it. I see them coming back now. We've had a lot of fans that I was out of anime for a couple of years, and now because of all the different streaming services or Netflix or other ways to get it, I'm back and buying stuff again. There's some awesome, amazing stuff out there too. So they took a hiatus, but they can't stay away. It's like the mob. You think you're out, but they pull you back in.
Yeah. What's the quote? Anime drugs would be cheaper.
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, just in the past year or so, the shift from, like you say, sort of everything is an adaptation of a visual novel. Much as I love visual novels, it's kind of like okay, and now we've got just a tremendous range of anime that just hits a whole bunch of different styles and genres and so forth. It's just really nice to see that. Yes, kind of, they did realize that okay, we can do other things as well.
Yes. There's a wide variety of different things out there. What do you call it? That's what I think is wonderful is you still have your stuff that you make like I make a shonen manga, make a shonen anime, repeat, make this type of genre repeat. There's a system still out there, but there's a lot of new wonderful things people are trying. Like we're very close partners for the No Autonoma block.
Yeah,
there's some wonderful things that, I was getting worried there for a little bit, but I'm like, please make some awesome new experimental, not very much the norm anime out there. And No Autonoma just was just laying it out there for us. We were so happy to have stuff like Eden of the East, House of Five Leaves, or Sea Control right now is kicking major butt. So there's a variety of just stuff out there that's just wonderful to see people be able to take the chance. Another great example, the economy's picking up, but they don't just want to make sequels and so it's safe. They're actually willing to try again on other new wonderful shows out there.
Well, and we're seeing things like Fractal, which
Fractal is amazing. I love it.
I loved watching that just because I was like, me and my other 30-year-old friends, we can laugh at this.
Yes,
but also it's entertaining to those who don't know what Nadia is. Or what have you, and can watch it and enjoy, and it's a well constructed little thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I love also how these formats are now 12 and 13 episodes.
Yeah.
So basically, you're constantly getting a new show every other season now, and it's just and they're just churning them out, and they're all so wonderful. So I mean, it's great that they're almost kind of like making a new variety menu for all the new fans who want to come in here and say, no, seriously, we have something for everyone, even some weird stuff you didn't even think you liked, you didn't even know existed, now you like and love.
Yeah, I stumbled across Kaiba a few years ago, and I was like, "Wow, yeah, indescribable."
Yeah, exactly. It's just something's just like you didn't know that genre existed, or you were surprised anime could do stuff like that. Like Summer Wars, one of our really big film releases. That it was one of those ones. I'm like, even the fifth time, it's like I'm not going to cry, and failed miserably.
Yeah, and getting back to that, I mean, it's great seeing sort of a new wave of talent come in to bring more Hosoda and the others like that who are sort of bringing up the mantle. I mean, we don't have a lot of anime film directors.
Was it? It's just there's few and fewer of them staying in the business because it is a tough business in Japan, and the loss of Satoshi Kon was devastating beyond belief.
No kidding.
So it's good to see new blood coming in, and I'm really hoping that this kind of progression and success and out there will bring the next wave of great directors. It's kind of it also reminds me of the movie business in the U.S. in the 1970s when the studio system was kind of falling apart. The way it worked didn't really work, so they said, screw it, go find a bunch of young directors. And that's why we found Spielberg and Lucas and Palmer and, everyone else who just came out of that group that just did amazing film. But they would have never, approved The Godfather or Star Wars or anything like that back in the day. But they realized they had to try something new. And I'm hoping we're seeing another renaissance like that with new directors coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember back... I was at Otakon 2001, which was actually Lane themed. Which
yay!
Yes.
Big Lane fan. My daughter being named Lane and all.
Yeah, absolutely, my favorite anime series of all time. So
it's fantastic. I definitely can never speak ill of it. She'll get mad.
There we are. Has she seen it?
No.
Good.
I'm saving that one for a little bit older.
Good. Yes.
She does luckily enough get to watch a decent amount of anime since I can bring it home on a regular basis.
Good.
She's about to turn 11, so I think it was right about the age time to turn her on the Fruits Basket.
Yeah, definitely.
And she watched it 3 times in a row in a week. So I think it did well there.
Success.
Yep.
But so I remember going to and Jan Scott Frazier was talking about the changes in the anime industry back then and how. As he put it, the change from 50 episodes to 26 episodes, really good.
Yes.
26 to 13, he was still waiting to see how that was gonna pan out. We saw stuff, like Lane, like so many other things that really took that format and went with it. And like you said, I think this focus on, and I mean the other thing too is that it used to be that there was just a lot more anime running on television in Japan.
Exactly.
So the culling it down to a few number of time slots. I think, cutting it down to shorter series allows them to keep on pumping out these new things, and so we get stuff like Madoka Magica or whatever is the hot new one of the current season. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't, and I think it also doesn't limit to 26 and 52 episode seasons out there like Full Metal Brotherhood.
Yeah,
you can still do some amazing things like that. I mean, I believe what he called One Piece is at its halfway point, which made me fall out of a chair when I heard that. I'm like, seriously? Which is awesome. We love Luffy and the crew. Mm-hmm. Give me more Straw Hat Pirates any day of the week, but not every show can have 3 billion trillion episodes. So 13, and more studios can try new things. Mm-hmm. They also can see their success really quick without putting down buku amounts of episodes and be like halfway through like, oh god, we have to make the rest, but we're going to lose money. It's more the lines of like, let's put it out there. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, let's move on to the next and keep on trucking.
Absolutely. And you get stuff like Haruhi and these other things where it's like, here's our little thing, and then we just spin it off and keep on on building as long as it's popular. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. And whatever what you call doesn't work in this one, or works just a little bit, tweak it, move on to the next. It's just going to keep building and building.
Exactly, absolutely. So moving back to the subject of internet streams, how have those been working out for Funimation? I mean, that is certainly the big thing, and one of the big questions there, of course, is people have been pushing to go to internet streams, but I guess the real question is, are they working at a more fundamental level instead of just here are streams, watch them?
Yes, there's always more to streaming than just like, hey, we did it because we want to put something out before fan subs, or we want to put something out for more access. Yeah. It's a variety pack. That's when people look at, people talk about the success of streams. They go, so you're getting a lot more views than other things out there, or you're making more money exactly off the streams. And we always go, well, it's not just that. There's a whole variety of different points that we bundle together to call success of streams, which we're doing very well with our streaming right now. Good. Streaming, simulcast, everything we have out there for what we need them to do, they're doing very well for themselves. The vast majority of them we have no complaints about. Basically, what's tied to streaming is, of course, views. People watching it is a big time. As you well know, ours have ads in them, so there's ad revenue on top of that. Sure. It's also a good meter to, because a lot of our shows now, we don't pick up DVD or Blu-ray rights right away. We see how they do on our streaming. So anyone out there who wants to see the show out there they like, have you and your 10 friends watch it on repeat and share with other people. It's not just helping us get revenue, it's also saying, oh, you like this show. So maybe we'll go after different things like that. Gotcha. So it's also a mix of just trying out with that studio, working with the studios, because working with Japanese studios, there's also a very important comfort level, getting to know them and work with them. And the more you work with them, the easier you work together and the better projects you can work on, and things just get better as you go across. So you might even try stuff as in, hey, we've never worked with this company before. Let's try one of their shows and see how we work together. And maybe we can grow a relationship from there. So there's a whole variety of different things on there. And sometimes with shows like Princess Jellyfish, for example, that was one we called that was doing pretty well for us, but it was kind of on the cusp of do we want to pick up DVD or Blu-ray or not? Wasn't 100% sure. So we asked the fans and on our Facebook page, and a pouring of, oh my God, please get this, you have to get this, get this. I mean, I can't remember how comments came in so fast, it was just purely insane. So very quickly after that, went after the DVD and Blu-ray rights because of fan feedback. So one of the big things with streaming, besides just everything I mentioned, is it really lets us see what the fans want and how they react to it. And a lot of things with we look at every fan. We talk about the casual, the mass fan, the hardcore fan. We look at everyone, the sub fan, the dub fan, everyone out there, and take them into consideration for each show. Sure. And we look at each show, we want to make sure that if we're going to bring out a show beyond streaming, is it going to be something that this A group will want? It doesn't have to be hit every group, but it has to hit a good chunk of the group for whatever price you want to pay for it. So it goes along those lines. So streaming really does build onto our DVD market, builds onto our Blu-ray market, builds on great video numbers will lead us to success, as in taking it to other licensed stores, say, hey, maybe you want to make some licensed goods for this, or make a video game of this, or go on Netflix. So basically, the more success we see in streaming, it is a trickle effect to so many other things. Yeah, that makes sense. Have the Japanese companies been overall? Obviously, it'll vary from one company to another. But has there had to be a lot of sort of explaining about how you're doing the streaming process and that kind of stuff? In terms of, I mean, it's got to be difficult for. I see myself as someone. Imagine myself making anime and saying, okay, now tomorrow everyone's watching it free online because they're downloading torrents. Okay, what are you doing to handle that? I mean, what's the process there in terms of explaining that to them? There's definitely was an explaining period, especially when we first started doing this, because internet is not everything we can control. You have to it's going to get out there. Yeah. We're going to try our best to get it as we monitor as best we can, but we can't guarantee 100% lockdown. Sure. And a lot of that's just explaining because as you just mentioned, each company has a different speed of the internet. Some are very open to the idea, some are like a little wary, some are just no. So every single show we stream, especially if it's with a new company, we got to go back and work on it. Fractal is a great example where we were asked after the first episode, because we call it, end up on some torrent sites, different country, and they were like, you need to take it down from every site of the entire internet. Which we were a little surprised, but we weren't upset. We were like, okay, let's go back and explain a little bit more of what we're trying to get at, and we talked to them and talked about how it's physically impossible to do that. And they understood, and we worked forward. It was a great relationship. A lot of long-winded emails and late-night conversations will clear up a lot of these things. So the overall process of this is pretty much getting things out in a comfortable manner where we have the backing of, it's going to make it very difficult for someone to actually come and rip it off, make it, accessible at the right times, at the right viewing that the Japanese have approved. Everything we put up is all by Japanese approval. As well as we have a legal team that goes after those shows specifically and monitors different sites and different torrents for those sites. The second basically ours goes up, we have people looking at it. So it's a multiple angle response from basically communication, anti-piracy efforts, and overall just monitoring and back to anti-piracy. So I guess it's two parts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the frustrating things, being on the sidelines is watching it and saying, we actually do want streams. We want this to work.
Yes, everyone wins if this works. And I will say again, of course, a lot of people out there like, oh, everyone's just fan subbing it. There's a lot of terrible fans. Fans are ruining it. I really don't buy that. There's so many wonderful people out there. As we always joke about, basically, if you go on the internet, of course, everyone's railing it. I sub it. I dub it. I rip it. I steal it. I do all this stuff. Yeah, also that's a vocal minority out there. There's a lot of people out there talking a good game, but they don't back it up in real life out there. So there's a lot of good fans out there. I've met so many fans that are out there to promote it. Even the ones which were kind of we call it a gray area, as in like, yeah, I download fan sub, but I bought everything you brought out. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take it because I have to. But still, they want to buy it because they love the show. So there's a lot of good fans out there. And there's a lot of fans now because the access and the ease of use of our legal streaming, they will not go watch fan subs. Or if there's not one available, if there's one available but we have a legal streaming, they're like, oh, I never go to that. I just watch yours. So, they understand the true word of a fan, someone who supports something they like.
There we go.
Not the people out there who are just basically like, well, I wish it was this way, I wish it was that way. You'll always have a few of those, and that's fine. We'll talk to them just as much as we talk to the people we like. It wouldn't be fair to everyone if we just talk to people we liked. But overall, basically, the fans we run into at conventions, who even online on the internet, our sites and other sites, the vast majority of them we see are wonderful people, and I'm glad they're in the industry. And I hope they bring 3 of their friends that are just like them next time they come.
Yeah, that's the thing. Funimation certainly has that, that history where you start with something. Dragon Ball Z is like the classic example where you have fans who are adamant,
passionate. We call them
passionate. There we go, and certainly have firm views on how things should be. And you have to work with that.
And it's actually I also see like, oh my God, I'm getting the 12th email from the guy who tells me exactly how you should have dubbed this episode 5 of this one show we brought up 3 years ago. But overall, we look at it as a very good thing because most industries never get really true feedback. True. Someone in the music industry is just going to email, P. Diddy and say, you're awesome, you're amazing, or I hate your stuff. There's no in between why or reason or when for the most part. We get absolute feedback on a regular basis consistently. Anime fans love to tell you their true opinion, and they are not scared to hold it back on any reason whatsoever. No. So we look at that as great feedback, and a lot of the times we've done things based off that feedback. We have a pretty good meter inside between the different people that read this feedback between what is just internet talk and what to take seriously, and how to kind of gauge it, and then when also to reach back out to the fans to ask them to clarify or overall basically, we're hearing this one thing, what do you guys think? Tell us directly on this exact question, things like that. So and Dragon Ball Z, a great example too, because when we were the house that Goku built, and the first Dragon Ball Z that came out was super edited because we had to put it on TV, and you got to do to break in the industry, and we're very happy we did that then, but we're even more happy we could bring it out uncut in the right way later on. But yeah, there was times where when I was just coming on, and Funimation again was only like 6 people, and it was people were buying ADV and Pioneer were the leaders. And what we wanted to come in, we were the people like, oh, they're the Dragon Ball people. I can't believe that. Oh God, they got Gunslinger Girl. They're gonna ruin that. So I remember seeing the transition, and it was a wonderful time because I knew what was happening about 6-9 months out, what was going to be happening next. And then people start coming up to me on conventions and be like, I don't know what happened, man. I just turned around and looked at my anime shelf, and all of a sudden it was just mostly Funimation. When did that happen? They it was a subconscious thing that just kind of happened that we became like, screw you guys, screw you guys, screw you guys, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Wow, I got a lot of your stuff. Okay, I like you now. I really like you now. I really like you now. So it's a wonderful thing. We also know that to stay, in the top and to be a fan favorite is to keep talking with them, and find out what they want. To never ignore the hardcore fans. We can't always do everything just 100% for the hardcore fans. We got to cater to every fan, but we will never ignore them. Yeah. And they're a very key part of our world, so I will never stop from that. So we take that feedback on all fronts, good, bad, and other, and there is a lot of other, very carefully and important to us.
Yeah, I remember the moment it occurred for me was when I think it might have been actually you at one of the panels when when Funimation announced they licensed Tenchi.
That was Lance Haskell. Yeah.
Oh, Lance, okay.
That was Lance, because they licensed Tenchi about 3 months before I came on board. I was Tenchi and Kodacha, because I was a brand manager when I came in, were my first brands I ever worked on.
There we go. And cause I remember when they licensed Tenchi, and someone raised their hand and said, "Why are you licensing Tenchi?" And he said, "Because it's frickin' Tenchi."
Yeah, exactly. It's Tenchi freaking Muyo. It's been 10 years, and yes, please.
And I was thinking, oh, okay. Yes, please.
The light went off. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great thing. So, speaking of that, what sort of trends have you seen overall in terms of like buying patterns, shifting? I see a lot of folks now who struggle with buying DVDs, affording them, things like that, and I mean, a lot of folks, frankly, now buy merchandise more than DVDs.
Yeah. There's separate kind of fans we see out there. There's people who are very much, they watch, stream, however they watch it, and they buy a lot of merch. There's the fans out there who buy a lot of anime. They don't do as much for the merch. I've been here's the middle ground. It's buying a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Excuse me. And most of the ones that are doing that, we've noticed, are newer fans kind of feeling out which part they are. They're coming through the otaku puberty. They're figuring out which way they want to go and become the fan they will be. And your collection will grow bigger and bigger. And overall, the overall DVD market is, again, the economy is what it is. That's also kind of why we switched from single sticks to the half seasons and the season box sets, and bringing out the classic line and the save line along those lines, so we give people multiple options to get in on anime however they are consuming it. Also, we know there's a lot of fans out there who are having problems. Maybe the local store doesn't carry as much anime or anime at all, unfortunately, because of that. So that's where also you have friends online like Right Stuff or Amazon or along those lines. So we're giving more options to purchase ones. And there's also why a lot of people are like, dude, bring out the full season the first time out. I don't want to wait. You do half seasons. And it's like, that gets really expensive. I'm glad you can afford that, but a lot of people out there can't. I remember being a starving anime fan where, 3 of my friends had to save up. We take turns each buy a volume, something like that. $30 for 2 episodes made sense back then. Now it's...
Absolutely.
Now it's 40 bucks so for 13, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's a little better. So basically, if you want to, purchase 13 and 13, and you can save up a little bit here and there to get it, you're fine. A lot of times now, with some of our shows, we're bringing out part 1 and part 2 on the same day, so they can get the whole season if they want to. But if they want to buy it in chunks, they can still do that. So it's a whole buying pattern, which is basically catered around the fans. We'll also say there's a whole almost new generation. I'm watching it like Gorillas in the Mist right now, that are buying almost strictly at conventions or in large chunks. Like convention attendance is up. There's a lot of new fans coming in, which is awesome. There's a lot of old fans coming back. People who just didn't leave. So it's wonderful. And they're coming in, and they'll come to our booth, and they'll have like a stack, like just like giant of anime. And it's like, when was the last time you bought anime? It's like, oh, I buy it every 2 conventions, like twice a year. And they drop like just $1,000 at the booth. And we're like, thank you, no problem. It's happy to do that. So we try to basically cater to every type of fan out there's about buying patterns, because there is no, we call it the exact buying pattern. There's no one. There's probably like 30 or 40 different buying patterns out there. From the people who, when I can afford it, I buy it. The people who pre-order everything, and we love you, as well as on the people who basically purchase key titles or buy in giant chunks. So overall, DVD and Blu-ray is doing well for us, and we're just trying to, get that everything out there the way they can in different buying ways. And actually, even also, because the retail is kind of squeezed a little bit on the anime sections a bit, we've actually started advertising on our DVDs that we have Blu-rays, or on our Blu-rays that there's, along those lines, like Blu-ray DVD combo packs.
Summer Wars.
Exactly, Summer Wars and Blu-ray, like that. Yeah, that's amazing. Or like, let's see, the last Eden of the East movie, the most recent one came out. That was a Blu-ray DVD combo pack. We're doing that also because, again, to get that in the stores, sometimes we have to actually fit on one or the two shelves, so it gives it a better chance of being in your local Best Buy or something like that. Gotcha. So there's a variety of different reasons to do that, as well as you're getting the same combo deal that Disney's putting out, and a lot of people are doing as well. So we're trying to hit all the new markets, and I'll say there's a lot of things we're trying, and we'll see how they work. And then we'll adapt that. We're constantly adapting. We always have 5 plan Bs on the burner at any given time. So as we're reading feedback, we got analysts that look at numbers and sales numbers and all different things like that. And we just start breaking it out and just say what's next. I mean, that's why we were on the first to shift to the half seasons from single sticks. We saw that was going away. We saw like TV on DVD was living strong, and that's what people wanted to pay. And we just started to quickly move over that direction.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough. I mean, you got these series that target sort of very specific weird demographics, and how do they buy? That's a tough one. Yeah,
exactly, and especially as became along lines of negotiating our acquisition team, which is really really good. Basically, them working on getting the right prices for the right shows, because what you paid then isn't what you pay now, because it's a different world, different we call it profits out there. And the Japanese understand that, and they're great about it. And basically, if we all work together on this, we'll all win in the end. And it's working out better and better each day.
Yeah, that's good. And one of the big things we actually talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago was this question of this overall trend of Japanese releases having English subs on them, and the thing that, boy, if that happens, I really don't want to pay $80 for a DVD. Ugh.
Yeah, that's another reason, Misty. Support your local anime club, support your local anime company, support your local anime store, because as long as we're around, you'll be paying our prices, not theirs.
Yeah, which is, man.
Yep.
Very painful.
Yeah. I love to buy Garden of Sinners, a little pricey.
Did you see the Lane box set that came out like 6 months
ago?
I
want to buy that so bad. I haven't yet. I haven't yet because I'm waiting for ours. But yeah, it's gorgeous. Someone actually brought it to the booth at the convention go, and I was like, I could sweep his leg and run. So tempting.
Oh, no kidding. I looked at that and I said, there are very few things worth that much. That is worth that much.
Yes, exactly.
So cycling back, Funimation.com. So I'm sure you're excited about that. So what's new? What's coming?
First, I want to thank everyone. We had a big survey about how your thoughts on the new site was and stuff like that. So thank everyone for taking it. We had a lot of entries, and we're giving away prizes, so I guess that helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're really excited about it. This has actually been kind of a project for multiple years. We've actually done multiple different versions of a Funimation site in different ways over the last 5-6 years, actually probably longer than that now. And the most one over all the years, we basically were like, we always try to do sites that are linked to Funimation or just loosely linked to Funimation or not linked to Funimation. We're like, we have brand equity. We're Funimation. So why don't we just redo Funimationcom to be the site the internet wants today? Because as I'm sure you're aware of, the internet's changing constantly how we communicate on everything. I mean, if you went back, just 6 years ago and said, "Hey, are you on Facebook?" They'd be, "What?" Now today, basically, Facebook is a lot of the internet. So with that, basically, I was trying to basically make a site that was still had everything people like on the current Funimation site, which is all the video you can watch streaming, all the blog updates and news stuff like that, a forum to talk and have fun with, adding in more ways to engage with people, more things for them to engage in. More fun stuff to build upon. Like we have profiles in there. We have a new community section where you upload like fan art and cosplay. We're doing contests weekly. We're actually creating more content now for the site that's exclusive for the site. Like we're uploading all our panels to the site.
Nice.
We're gonna have a bunch of interviews and other stuff with that we're working on to get to the site for content. We actually can't wait for July for Anime Expo, San Diego Comic-Con, and Otakon, because we're going to get a lot of content out of that.
I'm sure.
So overall, basically, the site itself is basically going to have a lot more on it, and we're also putting a lot more behind it. It used to be along lines, it was our web team would build the site, and then the marketing team would kind of put stuff together from their brand promotions to put on the site itself. Now we actually have a whole Funimation.com team. That I'm a great part of. I love being a part of, actually, it's better put. That actually is focused on making this site and growing the site. It's an extremely big initiative for Funimation, our CEO, and everyone else involved. So we're taking it bigger and better. And we also know, like what got Funimation to the point of being the industry leader was listening to its fans and giving the fans what they want on a regular basis. So our tagline is your anime video community. So with that, basically what's out there right now is the tip of the iceberg, what we're planning to do over the next couple of years, 5 years further down the line as the internet changes. So we're going to constantly have things to add to it. And a lot of those things are going to come from suggestions from different fans. We're going to ask them about things in different stages. Like, hey, we're thinking about this idea or this idea. Which do you like better? And then go gauge off of their feedback. We want to build it for what they want because they're going to be the ones going to be on the site all the time. So it's all about the user with this. We're actually, we have some plans in the work that ahead of time, like we're going to have a subscription model coming out a little later this year. As well as a lot of people are asking for apps and devices, so we're working on looking into all those different things for it as well, so stay tuned on that. And we have a wish list that is mile long that we're going to start hanging off the fans. And a lot of them gave feedback on the survey I just mentioned, so that gave us a lot of like what to talk about next listed on there. So it was really good to see all that back. So really just we're the tip of the iceberg since we're again just starting beta, and it's going to be a very big iceberg.
Yeah. Now, and I'm sure this is on the list. I mean, do you see yourself sort of making this more of a nexus integrated into other sites like Facebook or My Anime List or things like that? Or to begin with, is it going to be more sort of self-contained?
It's going to be shareable with other ones. Like you can share stuff from the site to your Facebook, or I don't think it links to My Anime List, but all the other social sites, Tumblr and MySpace and Reddit and all that kind of stuff like that. Twitter, of course. Our overall social, what we call media campaign, social marketing we have our own Facebook page, our own Twitter page, and are all over the different areas like that. And we link those ones back to the site.
Gotcha.
And we work with a multitude of different sites out there. We work well with, Anime on DVD or Mania, Anime News Network, all different ones out there on a regular basis. So we don't work directly with them, but we link to them or put stuff on their site to our site along those lines. But what we call the overall symbiotic relationship, which is the anime industry, we'll be continuing with this site. We're just basically going to make everything we kind of talk about and build link back to the site to be the one-stop hub for all things Funimation.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's tough these days to figure out exactly, where any one site sort of exists and how to position it because things, as you say, things are changing so rapidly.
Exactly, and we basically want to give people options for however they want to talk to us. If they want to on Facebook, no problem. We talk to them. They'll say everything on Facebook. You see on the site too. You want to get the full details and get the the actual info. Come to the site. So however you want to be communicated to, we're going to custom cater to that. We still do newsletters every week or so, specific to releases, on additional updates. And we still have a lot of people in that newsletter chain. So even though I know some people are like, oh, email marketing's dead, I'm like, it's far from dead. It's just another way to communicate with a different type of fan.
Yeah. And like you say, one of the tough things is there's so many different kinds of fans.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you got to give them a variety pack. Just like it's ordering from a Chinese restaurant. Just pick down the menu what you want.
And fortunately, there's enough anime that you can actually do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wide variety out there, and they keep making more.
Yeah. So, what do you? How do you see the industry changing as things move into the future, both here and on the other side of the Pacific?
Overall, I see basically where we are right now with the DVD, Blu-ray growing. Combo packs or box sets, half seasons, premium ones like that. Nice limited editions for collectors, and then mass ones following shortly after that when those run out. I see those still doing well. I see Japan. Again, it looks like they're trying new things. This next season of anime coming out looks really good. There's a lot of variety of stuff out there. And excuse me, sorry.
It's okay.
There's a variety of different things we call coming out there. So they're trying new things. So I see everything just picking up in the right directions. Hopefully new blood's going to come in, which is going to make it even happen faster and more stuff coming out there. I mean, the way I look at this, as many people have said, I'm definitely not the first to say this, everything's cyclical in every industry, especially the anime industry. If you've been here long enough, you've seen it go up and down, up and down, up and down. And every time it comes back up, it comes up in a different way than it did last time. So as much as I'm predicting now, I could be 100% wrong by some, PlayStation 9 could come out and it just plugs right into your spine. We're going to live stream from your Wii U controller. Who knows what's going to happen next? So there's going to be a variety of different things out there. But I think whatever's going to be next is going to be as wonderful as the last bubble up in an entirely different way.
Yeah. Let us hope.
Yes, exactly. Here's the hope, and I know I'm not going anywhere, so I'm going to keep here, and I hope to see it all the way through.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the signature series from the previous dip was Lane. You know,
yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That whole period of when Lane was out and Rurouni Kenshin was out, and Cowboy Bebop, and that whole generation of fans were grown. So yeah, it's just wonderful things around that time period.
Yeah. So here's hoping it'll we'll get more of that stuff again.
Absolutely. Here's the hoping.
Cool. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys. It was great to be on.
Great. Thank you very much, and I love having you on. See you soon.
Perfect. Take care.
Take care.